YouTube, welcome back. I've got a special build review for you today. Sometimes we do build reviews on Twitch, twitch.tv/PerryThePig. This time is something in particular because I have a request from a Twitch viewer about how can I make this build, how can I make this build feel better to play if I don't have good reaction time, if I am often distracted while I'm playing. I feel like I need to play a different build because this build's like so high damage, but I just die too often. So this build is giga high damage. We're going to talk about taking a Shadow Dagger Blade Dancer build that is just YOLO DPS, super high damage, really easy to like one-shot all the monsters in the game. And when I play this build, I like to play it in the way that I'm about to describe to you, which is to say, I don't need a billion DPS. I like to trim some of that DPS, have higher quality of life, have higher defenses, leech, survivability, playability, because when I'm playing on stream, I often have streamer brain, which means I'm reading Twitch chat and I'm distracted basically the entire time, and I need something that gives me a little bit of access to the viewers, to the audience, right? So I think this person would do well to remove some of their 1 billion damage from Shadow Dagger's auto crit, you know, insane scaling, and get some defense instead. So let's talk about ways to do that. Like a Blade Dancer. First off, we're dual wielding. Remember, dual wielding causes you to take increased damage from monsters. Shadow Dagger Umbral Blades deal so much damage. I think it's 325% effectiveness of added damage. Is that right? Can I fact check myself real quick? Where's this thing? Is it they proc this thing? This is a different proc. Base damage of 68. Added effectiveness is 340%, and they always crit. And then they scale off melee damage and throwing damage. Absolutely insane scaling. So we already have a dagger here. We're using a Smoke Weaver, which is much higher in terms of quality of life. It's a little bit lower on damage, but I still like it. We don't need to have a katana as well. If you want YOLO DPS, a katana is an excellent way to do that. We do need to have a dagger here because we want to be proccing our Shadow Daggers off of Umbral Blades itself. But in our offhand, if I were playing this, especially if I were playing this in hardcore, but frankly, even if I were playing this in softcore, I would just do this. I would grab a shield, I get some block chance, some block effect, and maybe some all resistances, and maybe some reduced damage taken on block, or less damage taken on block, this thing here. If I had this shield, I would just put that in my offhand and I'd be quite happy with it. So this would lower my damage, but it would greatly increase my survivability because I'm no longer taking % increased damage from the dual wield penalty, but I also have a shield. On top of that, if you wanted to cheese a little bit extra damage into the build, Smoke Weaver has quality of life because it gives you that shift cooldown recovery speed. But if you wanted more damage, you could go for a Chris. So a Chris, instead of having a bad implicit, it has a crit multi implicit of up to 65, and then you get like, not legendary potential, but you can get more affixes on it. Things like multiplier, or things like flat melee physical damage like this, and then of course physical penetration is a new affix that they introduced in 1.0 patch. So this is like, all right, so you're no longer using the shift dagger, but now you get some extra damage here. So this kind of splits the difference between I lost some damage, but maybe I can choose a different weapon to gain some damage back. Other things that we could do in order to get some extra defenses into our build and make it higher quality of life. So right here, you'll see that there's something very conspicuous that's missing that is oftentimes used in basically every rogue build that exists. I'm actually happy, as an aside, that Falconer exists because Falconer with Aerial Assault gives us an option not to do the thing that I'm about to describe to you. We have Shift. Shift is proccing Shadow Cascade. We're specking Shadow Cascade. Specking Shadow Cascade gives us a little bit of mana back, which is fine, I get it. It also applies one Shadow Dagger over here. I get it. I'm actually going to recommend dropping Shadow Cascade. In general, your Umbral Blades are going to deal so much Giga damage that we don't need another source of Shadow Daggers to make our build feel good. Instead, I would respec this. I would drop it all together. In my Shift skill tree, I would grab the Sleight of Hand node, which would give me... It would give me this. Maybe another point in velocity for cooldown recovery speed. But I would have the Shurikens thrown at the end of Shift, and that would auto-proc my Shuriken skill tree, and that would give me a little ring of damage around my character. And what that ring of damage does is gives me a whole bunch of % increased armor. On top of that, if you're walking through enemies, you'll get some extra physical shred on those enemies. Something along these lines would be quite nice in terms of defense, some extra damage, kill some stuff, get some shred. And like having extra hits in your build also means that you can apply armor shred, fizz shred, chill, shock, slow, whatever else frailty you have in your build. It's just a nice thing to have that damage circling you at all times. For Umbral Blades, your Umbral Blade skill tree looks great. I have no complaints about this at all. Cool, cool. Yeah, that's about it. I don't know how often you're throwing Umbral Blades. Maybe you're often throwing Umbral Blades. If you find yourself throwing them, then this is great. If you don't find yourself throwing them very often, I would take Edge of Obscurity instead. But that's something that you will have to decide. Rest of this, we have Lightning Res, minus throwing cost stuff. Remember that Shadow Daggers scale off of melee damage and throwing damage? So something like this that has that minus mana cost on it, that damage, the plus 11 to 13 damage, that is damage for your build. So getting flat damage on your rings is a beneficial thing to do as you continue to scale your damage up. Let's take a look at your idols here. Physical penetration, physical penetration, physical penetration, physical penetration. That looks great. And then these can be like percent health, percent health, percent health. Love that. In terms of the rest of the gear, I want to take a look at the Blade Dancer skill tree. Awesome. I love this. You have all 5 points in the melee damage leeches health. Remember, melee damage is Shadow Daggers. So this will totally give you lots and lots of leech. I love to see this. If you have some extra skill points, some recommendations that I can make for you are these nodes here. Health gain on Shadow Creation. So the Shadow damage doesn't do anything for you. Not really. Health gain on Shadow Creation. As you jump around, you're leaving a shadow behind you with Shift. And I see that you have Sync Strike spec'd here to create 4 shadows whenever you click it. Having that, having all of this health gain from Shadow Creation is another like big buffer in like bursts of life as you walk around. It's just a really convenient thing to have. I'm a big fan of this node. Everything else here looks normal. Normal looking stuff, normal looking stuff, normal looking stuff, normal looking stuff. What is this? Dexterity, dodge rating debuff? Sure. No complaints there. The last thing that I wanted to talk about is the life total. This life total, this person's only level 87, but 87 means that they're in empowered monoliths. They might even be at 200 corruption already, we'll see. But 1600 life is a little bit low, and I wish that we could have more life. Something that you've seen me talk about before, sorry for the flashbang, boom, flashbang, is where your affixes go on your gear. And my recommendation for you is if something can have hybrid health, put hybrid health on it. If something can have percent health on it, put percent health on it. So what that means, generally speaking, generally, rules are meant to be broken. But rules are meant to be broken after you know the rules. After you know the rules, you can break the rules if you want to. All right, what does this mean? It means percent health exists on a helmet. So I highly recommend getting percent health on a helmet. Percent health exists on a body armor, which means I highly recommend getting percent health on a body armor. For the last one, your belt can have a suffix of percent health, so I'd recommend putting it there. I'm gonna grab a different color. Let's grab yellow. Hybrid health exists here on your gloves. Hybrid health exists here on your boots, and hybrid health also exists here on your belt. So when I look at your gear, which I haven't done yet, I'm about to look at it. When I look at your gear, I anticipate that some of these hybrid health things are missing, and I anticipate like maybe this one, if I had to guess, is missing. So having these affixes is a great way to make sure that even your squishy rogue characters, which are really not squishy by the way, have an acceptable life total. Let's all tap back and take a look at where the health affixes are. We have no health on our helmet, so like there's one. We have increased health. Okay, good. Love having increased health here. For a second suffix, I'm gonna alt tab back. A second suffix that you can put on your gear, I like having a defensive thing personally. So either flat health, maybe like percent armor, or percent dodge. I think those three are like pretty reasonable second suffixes to have on your body armor. Putting resistance as a suffix on your body armor, I think is just a waste of space. Like it's fine for right now. I get it. It's like this is a pretty reasonable chess piece, but I would look to upgrade it at some point. Let's take a look at the yellow stuff. This is the hybrid health and see what else is going on here. On the belt, we're missing hybrid health on the belt. So that's 2 affixes that I shouted out that we're missing. On our gloves, we have 0 health, not even flat health, so we're missing our hybrid. And then on our boots, we have flat health, and flat health's fine, but I think hybrid health is better because it has flat health and percent health on it. So if I could only have one, I would definitely choose to have hybrid health instead. So there's 4 types of like health modifiers that we could have on our gear that we don't have in our gear. Cool. I think that about does it. There's lots of like small things that you could adjust to make this better, but I wanted to take this as an opportunity to talk to the people out there who like, you see build guides that have 1 billion damage and they might just not feel good to play. And I get that because I prioritize a lot of quality of life in my builds, and perhaps I prioritize quality of life more than other people do when they are making their builds and build showcases. So getting a shield, I promise you, you're still going to kill everything in the game. You have lots and lots of damage. Doing things like getting life on your gear. If you're building life, you'd like to have endurance as well. Your endurance is currently 20%. Getting endurance percent somewhere on your gear would be really nice as well. We're going to get endurance percent. Maybe this stun chance. What if instead of stun chance we had endurance percent? Yeah. Now we got 33. We can get this up to like 60% someday. Endurance is the most readily available form of damage reduction, and damage reduction is good. So I would recommend that to help, along with other things we mentioned, make your character feel tanky and easier to play so that you don't need to die so often, because dying sucks. Dying is so boring. If you have other recommendations for this, or if you want to see something here on stream, let me know in the comment section, because that is always welcome. I'll see you next time.